Lockdown 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Trust you to make a song out of it.
It's not a song, it's a film.
Is it not a song? No.
Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo is the reference that everyone uses.
But that's not a song.
No, it's a film.
Right. Why is it not a song?
Well,
it sounds like a song.
So there is a film called Breaking.
Break In.
No, Breaking.
Like
Breakin apostrophe.
Right.
And then there is a sequel, Breaking 2.
CK.
There's a sequel.
Yeah. No, but you're saying breaking, as in, you mean like breaking a window?
Well, I think it's probably break dancing.
Okay.
But yeah, and then there's a sequel, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
It's just because breaking doesn't have a C in it.
I didn't say CK.
I'm sure you did. I'll listen back to that and see. Anyway, I was just...
BREAK.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't care.
Right? Breaking apostrophe and there's a sequel.
Yes, which is called Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, and has become a reference point for things when something is 2, put Electric Boogaloo.
I've never heard that before. Sorry.
Breaking 2 Judgment Day. Breaking 2 Their First Assignment. Breaking 2 whatever the taglines for the Neverending Story 2 is.
Anyway, local lockdown.
Yeah, local lockdown. We're in local lockdown.
Well, is it? I mean, it's more restriction. I may have broken the law on a major occasion this morning by mingling in the street with one of our mates.
Well, that's a good idea to put it in, to put it out in the world.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know what the rules are. I don't know what the rules are, and I'm a lawyer, but I'm finding it very hard to keep up with what I am allowed and not allowed to do. So we're not allowed to have anyone in our house, but if you, not on purpose, genuinely not on purpose, meet your mate in the street because they're going for a haircut and you're bringing cake home, is that a problem?
I think the key thing here is just do what makes you happy. Be sensible and do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm. A cake makes me happy, so that ticks all the boxes.
Yes, and thank you for going to get us cake this morning.
9 o'clock, I left the house to get cake. I mean, that's a worry, isn't it? If we are going to go into a proper, like the lockdown that we were in before when we were shielded, if we're going to go into that again, the amount of cake that we consumed last time, if we do that again, we're never going to leave the house because we won't be able to fit through the front door.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we'll just stay in.
We'll just podcast every day.
Yeah, why not? So many things to watch.
Yes, absolutely. We've had a busy week watching stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of stuff has come on this week.
A lot of new things.
A lot of new things, and we've been to the cinema.
Yes. But not together.
Well, we'll get to that. Let's not spoil the
all right.
spoil the feature. So before we go in, I think we just want to say congratulations to Jenny and Matt, who got married today as we are recording this.
Yes, congratulations, Jenny and Matt.
I don't know if they listen.
Mr. and Mrs. Lovett. But yeah, obviously, interesting time to get married, and we're absolutely delighted that things haven't been locked down to the extent that you're not able to go ahead with things like that. So we're delighted and hope they had an absolutely wonderful day. We've already had a couple of drinks to celebrate with the bride and groom. So even though we're not there physically, we are there in spirit.
Bit much.
Do you think? I can see your face.
Come on.
I can see your face going like, like, time out, enough.
Congratulations. Right,
yeah.
Come on.
Okay.
Let's get on.
TV.
Watching television.
So, you have watched something that I would not watch in a million years.
And you know what? You're looking at me like to start this bit off, and the reason I'm hesitating is because we've just congratulated our friends on getting married, and now I'm going to talk about Dennis Nielsen, the serial killer, and it just doesn't seem quite right. But,
I don't know who Dennis Nielsen is.
Okay, well, he's a serial killer, Mark.
Yeah, I would have never, I don't know anything about him, so...
Okay, you never heard of him at all?
Like, the name somewhat rings a bell. When was this?
80s.
Well, I wouldn't know serial killers in the 80s.
I mean, there's some people who wouldn't have been born when Fred and Rose West were around, but they'll know of them. Do you know what I mean?
I know the big hitters. I know like the Sutcliffe and
Well, that's what I
Fred
mean,
and
like,
Rose
yeah.
West. Dennis Nielsen's never crossed my path.
Okay. He's an interesting one because his crimes were, I mean, all murder is horrific, but there was a lot of really gruesome details to his crimes. And he also was someone who was quite prolific and wasn't caught. But the main thing about Dennis Nielsen is that he was just this average bloke, worked in the job centre. When the police came to search his office, his colleagues wouldn't let them because they couldn't believe that he would have done anything wrong, never mind murder. So they weren't even allowed in. They were like, no, we just can't believe it. And the programme that we're talking about is Des, which is a dramatisation of the Nielsen story.
Yeah.
It was a 3-parter on ITV this week.
Was it one of them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday things? Like
Possibly. I've been catching up with it on the ITV player, so
Okay.
I can't tell you. But it's probably something like that.
Yeah.
I should know this, isn't it? That's great research.
I mean,
for
it
me.
was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was more a loaded question, but
Well, there you go. You know more about it than I do. But yeah, it's called Des because that's what people called him. His name was Dennis. He said, "Call me Des." Yeah, it's a tough one to talk about actually because I didn't know the precise details of the crimes, and they are horrific. I mean, I've got to put a massive warning on this programme. I'm not sure if it's one I can recommend because it's so sinister, it's so horrific what happened to these mostly young men.
okay.
We don't know the exact extent of Nielsen's crimes because forensic science back in the day obviously wasn't as good as it is now. And things were done around the case as well in terms of Scotland Yard and them deciding to make certain choices in relation to the case. Again, not going to go into too much detail, not going to spoil it. So I don't want to go into too much because there will be things that, for dramatic purposes, I think it's best that you just see it on the telly. But also, the crimes themselves are not pleasant to speak about. Not that any crime is pleasant to speak about, do you know what I mean? They are particularly not nice.
Yeah.
So much so that Ofcom's received a number of complaints this week about the depiction of Nielsen's crimes. And weirdly, about the amount of smoking in the programme as well. Now,
I mean, there's people complaining to Ofcom for a lot of reasons at the minute.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I think it's, and you take things with a pinch of salt, don't you, when you see a headline that says 100 complaints to Ofcom about, But I found the smoking thing really interesting because it really, for me, it takes me back to that period. There are people smoking in in Scotland Yard, there are people smoking in the cells, in pubs, which now seems completely weird to us, but it takes you back to that environment for me. So that was interesting that was one of the things they were complaining about. But I think the main thing I want to concentrate on, away from the gruesomeness, away from the complaints, are the actors that are involved in the show.
Yes.
It's a 3-hander, although having said that, it's not that sort of 3-hander where there's only them in the room. There's plenty of other people, plenty of other actors in the shows, but we really concentrate on these 3 men. David Tennant as Des.
Yeah.
Daniel Mays as the DCI in charge of the case, DCIJs, and Jason Watkins as Brian Masters, who was Dennis Nielsen's official biographer.
Okay.
So you're seeing the story through their eyes to an extent. Really, really interesting casting. David Tennant apparently has wanted to do this for such a long time because he looks so much like him. And when you look at the pictures of Nielsen and you look at the pictures of Tennant, it really is. It's quite uncanny. Yeah, really uncanny. It's a fantastic performance. my only hesitation, you can hear it in my voice, my only hesitation is I'm just so used to knowing David Tennant now. It's a bit like when Olivia Colman, and obviously you put the two together for Broadchurch, don't you? But it's a bit like when Olivia Colman goes and plays the Queen. I know that's Olivia Colman playing the Queen.
Yes.
So when David Tennant plays someone now, I know that's David Tennant, who I see on talk shows, who I've seen do multiple different performances. I know that's David Tennant pretending to be a serial killer. And it's excellent, but I never get lost in the performance. I don't ever think, wow, I've totally forgotten that this is acting, or I've totally forgotten that that's David Tennant, who, like, I'm really fascinated by the fact that David Tennant married the daughter of another doctor from Doctor Who. I think that's amazing. And, I just love stuff like that but it makes it difficult for me to sort of leave all that behind when I was watching it thinking, oh, that must have been really difficult to take home. Like, I was thinking, I wonder, how that manifests when you're living in this person, and then you're going to go home to your kids, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, some people deal with it better than others. I mean, what's your man from 30 Seconds to Mars?
Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a weird one, isn't he, for getting into roles.
Really, really getting into it. And, who knows what's happened with this. But for me, Tennant is brilliant. There is no getting away from that. But for me, the standout performer in this is Daniel Mays.
Okay.
It's subtle. It's not a showy performance, but I think it's one of the best things he's done in a very long time.
I really like Daniel Mays.
And yeah, exactly. And I love Daniel. I don't think I've seen a bad performance from Daniel Mays, but this, maybe there's not been anything that's grabbed me recently, and this one really did. Even though it was quiet, even though it's all about the plodding nature sometimes of police work, the difficulties, the challenges, the dead ends, the bureaucracy from your superiors. It's all tied up in his performance of someone who really wants to be and is a good copper. And yet he's faced with this person. And what do you do with this average guy who's done these horrific things? And kind of says, I'm kind of hoping you tell me why I've done this, And then you've got Jason Watkins as the official biographer, who again we're seeing it through his, he's interested in Nielsen to begin with, because what do you think? Are they mad? Are they bad? Are they sad? How do we exist in a world with someone like that, who's a civil servant, who used to be a policeman, was a policeman for a year? How do we exist in the world with people like that, where they're doing these things? So he's trying to get into the psychology of it and work it out. And again, Watkins' performance is brilliant in the twists and the turns of, do you trust this person? Are they telling the truth? You want to tell their story, but is there something not quite right there? So I've found it a fascinating show, but it's sinister. It's got a horrible sense of darkness about it. It's not an easy watch, so it's difficult to recommend. Yeah. But it is a fantastic piece of television.
Okay. I will not watch this.
No, it's not your sort of thing at all. And I would never say, oh, you've got to watch it. It's not up your street at all. But if you like a crime drama, this is a brilliant crime drama. It's so well directed. It's so well put together. It doesn't treat the victims of crime with disrespect. In fact, it's incredibly respectful of them and of other potential victims of Nielsen as well. It has a lot to say about the way that we treated gay people in the 70s and the 80s, and in particular the homophobia that existed. I mean, homophobia exists now, but particularly existed at the time, in the way that the police treated victims of crime and dealt with people who may have otherwise come forward. It's not like one of those shows where we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's really subtly placed into the show, and I think therefore it has more power, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, not a recommendation for you, but if you love a crime drama, then this should be right up your street, with the big warning that this is a difficult watch.
Okay. Should we talk about the third day?
Yeah, go on.
So we've literally just switched off the third day.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not sure I've processed this yet.
Good.
Maybe you can help me.
Yes. Okay. So this is the latest big release from while a text comes through to my phone talking about, oh, hang on. Incoming spam detected is what my phone says.
Incoming spam?
Start your injury claim is the thing that's text has come through. Right, okay. Let's put my phone on silent. So the third day is the latest big collaboration between Sky Atlantic and HBO. The episode that we have just seen stars Jude Law. He is having, should we say he's having a bad day? He is going for a walk through the woods just to clear his head, and he comes across a girl that is in a situation. And I don't think we'll say any more than that.
Yep.
So he looks after her, he goes to take her home, and she lives on this tidal island that the only way you can get to it is a causeway. You can only reach during low tide. Very much like Holy Island near us.
Yeah. I was thinking that when it came up.
Yeah, and on the island he meets Emily Watson and
Paddy
Considine.
Running a pub.
Yeah, running a pub. There are other residents. Mark Lewis-Jones turns up for a bit. Nice to see him.
Yeah.
And weird stuff happens. We
Yeah,
say.
but does it? This is the thing.
Yeah.
There is a complete sense of foreboding all the way through. It has Wicker Man. It has Don't Look Now. All those elements.
Midsommar.
Of those I've not seen Midsommar, but I can completely get that would be the the tone of it. And you just don't know. I mean, Paddy Considine is brilliant at playing someone who seems completely normal and friendly on the face of it, but you just know, don't you? Look at him, you just think, Paddy, there's something not right with you.
Yes.
You're gonna turn around in a minute and have like, you're happy smiley now, but in a minute you're gonna be a big angry man. Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? It's unsettling.
I think you said like the mood around this or the theme around this. The mood is. I love this pub. This pub looks amazing. Little things like the way that the sausage rolls are wrapped up in cling film in the background.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's sausage rolls in the background. There is a regional dartboard, and as someone who is a little bit obsessed with regional dartboards, do you know what a regional dartboard
No,
is?
I'm nodding and I haven't got a clue.
So it looked to me like a Yorkshire dartboard, which is one with a smaller bull, no a ring, and no trebles, which is used almost exclusively throughout Yorkshire. Not so much now because I think darts has come so mainstream that everyone uses the same sort of championship dartboard. But yeah, up till sort of the 70s, different pubs in different regions would have different types of dartboards where the numbers would be in different orders, or they'd have different like scoring segments and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very retro, and it looks like a pub that's lost in time.
I said to you, didn't I, when we were watching it,
Yeah.
like, this looks like the sort of pub we'd go to.
Yeah. This appears to be, and I've been caught by this before, everything that I wanted from Lovecraft Country. There is that mystery to it, there is the mood to it, and I really hope that they don't start dicking about in a museum doing an Indiana Jones ripoff in the next episode. I thought this had lost you about 10 minutes in because you started playing with your phone.
Yeah, it had, because I just thought, oh, yeah, I mean, I've never been one for the sort of programmes where someone ends up somewhere in a situation and they think they're safe, but we all know that they're not. I've never been one for that because it really unsettles me, and I'm just anxious throughout it. But this actually is much more of a slow burner.
Yeah.
We know there's something going under the surface, of course we do. But it's not so in your face, and I can't work out what it is. I really hope Jude Law doesn't end up in a Wicker Man at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? I've seen that so many times before.
Yeah. The bees.
I want
Not the bees.
I want it to be something a little bit different.
Okay.
So we've seen the pub and we've seen a couple of other locations on the island, but we haven't fully explored them. So I'm hoping, like, there's a big house, for example.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that in other episodes we'll get to see who lives in the big house and what's going on in there. How many episodes is this?
Right, so I was about to ask a different question. What do you understand by the structure of this show?
I know is this meant to be like a live element to it or something like? Because this was called Summer, wasn't it? This episode was called Summer. I know nothing else.
Okay, so this series is 7 episodes long, and the first 3 episodes are Summer, which is a standalone story, and the final 3 episodes are Winter, which is a standalone story with a lot of the characters in between, but the first one stars Jude Law, the last 3 episode story stars Naomi Harris. In between is what is called an experimental episode. So it's going to be filmed live. It is going to be 12 hours long, and it's going to run from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night on the 3rd of October on Sky Arts. It's not canon. You don't need to watch it.
Right.
It is just a completely separate story with the characters of this in.
Right. I don't know how I feel about that.
I know exactly how you feel about that. I
don't have the time.
This is the sort of thing. Well, I mean, so it's going to be in real time. So
Yeah, but who's got the time to sit? But
well, no one has. That's the point.
I get a hernia if I sit down for that long.
Well, I don't think you. I don't think you're meant to sit there from 9 o'clock till
Do you
9
think
o'clock
it's
at
like
night.
Big Brother, where you're meant to just like dip in and out?
I think so. Yeah.
But then how do you follow what's going on?
Well, that's it. That's why I'm interested about this.
Do you think there'll be highlights at 9 o'clock?
Match of the day.
Yeah.
Gary Lineker talking you through it with Alan Hansen.
See, that puts me off because I feel like I should watch all the episodes, including the experimental, but I just don't have enough time in my life to sit for 12 hours watching a show, or even if it's recorded, like, okay, right, live element, but then to watch that, are you going to put an hour on every day for 12 days? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think it has been designed around this. It's not been designed as a 12-hour story. It's been designed as a piece of art that tells a story. So I don't know.
Right.
I'm interested to find out what they do. I knew that you'd be like that. Oh, look, Elaine doesn't understand something, so she's shutting the door on it.
Yeah, it's true, but also I'm just skeptical. I just don't know why they're doing that. Yeah, okay, it's art, fine, love a bit of art, but this just doesn't quite. It just doesn't float my boat, I suppose. I would prefer to go to an art gallery and see some art and feel the art than 12 hours of telly that isn't really telly and you don't have to actually watch it. And yeah, I don't know. I'm like just hands to the sky. Right, fine. I'm sure this is absolutely brilliant for some people, but I don't think it's for me.
I'm 100% all in on this.
Oh God.
So yeah, I look forward to reporting back at the end of this when you've given up after episode 2.
Yeah. Oh, there's part of me that's quite sad about that. A bit in the way that you are with like Lovecraft Country, because does that break this story up? Are we ever going to see the resolution of Jude Law's?
Yes, you're going to see the resolution of that within the 3 first episodes.
Right.
Then there is a separate story that is live. It's not going to be. It's not
just people on the island type thing.
Yeah, it stars the same people, but it's a separate story.
Will it star Jude Law?
Apparently so.
Oh, okay.
And then the final third is Naomi Harris.
Okay. Well, I like this episode.
Good.
And that may be the end of it.
Good.
Right,
Good.
Nerd. Yeah, I recommend this. I really
Okay.
recommend this.
I didn't
enjoyed
expect
it.
that.
Yeah. As it got going, because there was an incident in the first 5 minutes.
Yes.
That you turned away and went, fucking hell. Because there is a theme of loss.
Yes.
In this, or a perceived theme of loss,
Yeah.
I would say. We haven't got to the bottom of anything. And you and I have a lovely habit of putting something on that kind of goes back to loss or death or grief.
Yes.
And sometimes you just kind of think, oh God, not again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't particularly triggering or
No.
anything like that. Partly because I don't really know what's going on, but I know there's been some kind of loss. Yeah, let's see where it goes.
And going on something that your favourite show.
It's not my favourite show. It's not my favourite show.
It's your favourite man.
It's one of my favourite men. Yeah.
So Strike.
Cormoran Strike, to give him his full name, although they just call him Strike on the telly. But yeah, Strike's back, I don't know what series this is because they tend to be they're like 3 episodes or 4 episodes, and I've kind of lost track, especially as I think they put the first sort of 2 stories together a couple of years ago. I think this has been going longer than I even remember. I think this might be series 4, but who knows? You're looking it up.
I am. So this is series 3.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
See, that's how bad my knowledge of Strike is. And this is why this review is going to be really short.
So this is series 3, but the first series had 2 separate stories in it.
That was it. And I got quite confused by the first series because it all seemed to be jumbled together.
So this is J.K. Rowling, sort of.
Yeah, writing as Robert Galbraith.
Yes.
It's based on her books, or Robert Galbraith's books. And my big thing about Strike is I just love the characters. I love the character of Cormoran Strike, played by Tom Burke, who was in Three Musketeers on BBC, which is why that's where I sort of saw him mainly, and that's where I've sort of got my mild obsession from. So, my obsession with Three Musketeers mixed in with Tom Burke, and now he's Cormoran Strike. So, there we go. Now he's like a private detective. So it's just ticking all the boxes for me, really. And Holiday Granger, who again, I just love her. I think she's amazing. I'd quite like to be her.
Wouldn't mind you being her.
Thanks, love. Yeah, I wouldn't either. But together, so charismatic, wonderful chemistry. That they're clearly in love with each other, but they can't tell each other. And there's been this will they, won't they, all the way through. And it's so lovely to watch. It's like one of those ones where you're so invested in their relationship because they're really good friends. And they work together really well. And she's in a marriage that she doesn't love the guy that she's with. Although he is a bit, you do think sometimes, God, just leave him. But generally he's an all right guy. But she just doesn't feel about him the way she feels about Strike. And then of course there's the mystery element, the detective element, where in this one she's infiltrated the Houses of Parliament and she's putting contact lenses in to make her eyes look a different colour, and she's pretending to be very posh and called Venetia. And so there's all those sort of like really off the wall elements to it that I love, because this never, it would never go down. But it's interesting, and the stories tend to relate back to incidents that we've seen in the press. This one, I still haven't quite got to the bottom of it, but it's about politicians and children that may have gone missing or died, things that we've seen mentioned in the press over the past sort of 5 years.
Yeah.
Haven't quite got to the bottom of it. I've only watched the first episode, but I've kind of ignored the detective part of it. I just like to watch the characters. I think Strike and Robin are just wonderful to watch. So Burke and Granger, Strike and Robin, and I genuinely could watch them and watch their sort of... I love these scenes. I think I'm old romantic. I love the scenes where he's like drinking a bottle of whiskey in his flat by himself, like thinking about her wedding, and like he stares at her throughout most of the wedding. And then she's sitting, like, lying next to her husband, thinking about him at her wedding, looking at her. And, like, it's like proper old Mills and Boone type stuff, where you're like, they should be together, but you don't want them to be together. Because once they've got together, that will just, that's it. It's gone, hasn't it? That sort of will they, won't they.
Like Mulder and Scully.
Yeah,
like so many things.
Totally. That's really what it reminds me of. But they're charming. They're clearly really enjoying this show. The detective part of it's kind of here nor there for me. I don't really care, but I'm enjoying it, and it's an easy watch. Although having said that, I've had to start this episode about 10 times because the tiny tyrant in the house hasn't let me listen to it and has been singing throughout the whole of it. So even with the subtitles on, I found it difficult to watch, but I managed today to sort of fit it in. But yeah, it's lovely. It's a BBC detective drama with 2 fantastic leads. It's enjoyable.
Brilliant. I'm really glad you like it.
Yes, I feel really daft because I'm really invested in this relationship that doesn't exist. I'm getting old.
So, should we go on to the film that we've watched?
Yeah, cue Alien Ant Farm. Party on, dude. Be excellent to one another.
Each other. I don't know. 3 beers
Oh,
in.
God.
I don't know. I can't remember what happened today.
We went to see Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Separately.
Separately.
We ran a relay
Yeah.
where Blake was the baton.
Because we are actually following the local restrictions and we can't have anyone come and babysit. So we passed our child over in a car park when I went to see the film first and then you went second.
Yes.
Because that's how it works, because there's 2 of us. How did you feel about me going to see the film before you?
I wasn't happy.
Yeah, when we discussed who was going to go first, you said to me that you're used to now seeing films before me.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't devastated. If it was a Marvel film, I wouldn't be happy about it. And I can't quite put my finger on why.
I'm just wondering
because
why.
there's literally seconds between it. But yeah.
But because it would be something really meaningful to you and you would want to just have that
I think
experience.
I'm just misogynistic and think that I should be the first person.
You're really not because I was thinking, people are going to think that you're just really misogynistic, but you're not at all, and you're not like controlling or misogynistic, so I can't quite understand. But I wonder whether it's been like you've been going to the pictures and I haven't, particularly during sort of, especially after we lost Henry, you found the pictures to be a real comfort.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't go back because it was too much like normality, but now I'm feeling sort of much more like I can go and sit in the cinema. So I think it might just be because I was thinking about this while I was sat on my own watching the adverts and the trailers. I was thinking, what could it be? And I think it's probably because you're just so used to coming back and talking to me about the film, and that being part of sort of our life is you go and see the film, then you come back and tell me all about the film.
Yes.
So it's weird now that the dynamics changed in that like I knew all about the film when I met you in the car park for our secret rendezvous.
I wasn't happy about that.
And it was really good. I didn't do anything. And maybe you're not happy about it as well because you know my tendency to blur out major spoilers.
That might be it. Yeah.
And like sing them to you without even realising.
It's a good job you didn't have any like downtime in between.
So anyway, now that we've analysed that to death, we haven't even like gone into like we've had the rest of the day and we haven't even gone into what do you think. We've not gone into anything at all.
Save it for the podcast.
So this is going to be really interesting. I know like my history with Bill and Ted, New Excellent Adventure from '89.
Yeah.
Then I hadn't seen Bogus Journey, and I saw that only a few months ago, didn't I? Because you suggested that we put it on. This is before we were podcasting. And I know we've only watched it like a little while ago, but I can't remember anything about it apart from it includes death, right? So I went into this just thinking, No Excellent Adventure really, really well. Can't really remember much about Bogus Journey. I just don't know what this is going to be. And that's kind of how I felt throughout the entirety of the film. And I'm still not quite sure where I am with it.
So I was a huge Bill and Ted fan growing up. I actually saw the thing that introduced me to Bill and Ted, because we weren't really people who went to see films when I was growing up. So I was first introduced to it by the Saturday morning cartoon, which had an awesome theme tune.
Do you want to sing it?
Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Adventure. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, most outstanding every day. I can't remember.
That's so weird because like most of today I've been going around singing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, because I sing it all the time.
Oh, right, okay, good, excellent.
Yeah. There was one episode
Indeed.
of the all I remember of it, there was one episode of the cartoon where Missy is going to sing the national anthem at a baseball game, but she can't hit the high notes, so they go back in time to change the tradition of what song they sing before a baseball game to be Take Me Out to the Ball Game, so that she wouldn't embarrass herself.
There's a lot going on there, Mark.
Yeah.
Wow. So what about Bogus Journey as well?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So after that, I think my friend had Excellent Adventure on video, and I watched it there. And then I think I went to see Bogus Journey at the cinema for like a birthday when it came out. So this must have all happened quite.
So sweet.
Yeah, like.
Do you remember that? Like going to the cinema for like a party.
Yeah. Then me and my friends were like used to pretend to be Bill and Ted because we were 10, 11.
Which one were you?
I don't really know. I don't know. I think we're probably just one of the other. Like, I don't think there was any differentiation between the two. I always thought that Bill was the cool one because he was blonde, which is weird because their careers have gone very different paths. And then Wayne's World came out, and we instantly forgot Bill and Ted and became Wayne and Garth for like a couple of years.
That's really interesting.
And so I kind of forgot about Bill and Ted up until maybe 5 years after DVD players came out. Like when you could get like really cheap DVDs from HMV during the sales, I bought both films at the same time and was quite annoyed because the covers didn't match up. Like one had like a weird logo, like Film Club on the side, and the other one didn't. So they didn't sit next to each other on the film shelf properly.
That would really annoy me as well. I know you're laughing, but I totally understand what you're saying.
I watched them back and then just couldn't get over just how certainly Bogus Journey. Bogus Journey is one of the weirdest films. It's ostensibly a stoner kids film that references Powell and Pressburger's A Matter of Life and Death. And yeah, like it's how they got away with it, I will never know. I love those films. I've gone back to them so many times. At the time, I didn't get any of the sexual jokes. So, like, 69 Dude, I had no idea what that meant when I was, like,
I really
10.
hope you didn't, like, go around, like, shouting that out as well.
I probably did, because that's what we did. But, yeah, I had no idea of the relevance of it. Obviously, looking back now, there is some problematic things.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. There's a lot of homophobia in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Using words and phrases that we just wouldn't use today.
Yeah. But yeah, that I still revisit them every maybe 3 or 4 years just to because they feel very warm, and that's why I didn't know anything about these films going in. Didn't look at the trailers.
Yeah.
All I knew was that Samara Weaving was playing one of the daughters. In the end of Bogus Journey, they have children that are called Little Bill and Little Ted. So it was hinted that they were boys, but obviously they've been sort of retrofitted to be girls now.
Yeah. Shall we say spoilers for
So
Bill and
first
Ted
of
Face
all,
the Music?
before we do that,
right.
because I want to spoil this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm worried we're going to jump into it without saying it.
Before we do this,
Right.
I'm interested to know your thoughts before we go on.
Okay.
Would you recommend people go see this?
No.
Oh, really?
No, I wouldn't. I would recommend people pop this on a Sunday afternoon on their television. I think this is a TV movie. I didn't think it made any difference me being in the cinema to see it. It didn't feel particularly cinematic. I loved the nostalgic elements to it. You know me, I love nostalgia. So lots of, especially at the beginning when you're getting into the film and you're revisiting the characters. I think the performances are fantastic. Actually, no, I'm going to rewind that. I think
I don't, so that's...
Well, what I'm trying to say is I have really good feelings about the film. So I have a lot of, what's the word where you just want something to be okay, or you just...
You've got warmth.
Yeah, I've got this real sense of warmth.
Goodwill.
That's exactly it. So it's my goodwill pushing through in that I really enjoy seeing Bill and Ted on the screen again. And I think in particular, Alex Winter is acting his socks off. He is having a great time as Bill S. Preston Esquire. Like, I just loved what I think. The camera loves him, and it didn't feel like a put-on performance. It felt like he's been that character for years, waiting to bring that back out. So the nostalgia, the goodwill carries it through for me. But if you say, you know, are we going to tell our mates to go and see this film? At the cinema, no. When it comes on, whatever it is going to come on, watch it. It's fine.
I love this film.
Oh, God.
I sat there with a big grin, smiling grin. I laughed all the way through.
You laughed?
I cried at the end.
You didn't.
I cried at the end.
There were two women in front of me when I was waiting to, like, socially distantly exit the cinema, where you've got to go out a fire door now.
Yeah.
And the guy who had the black bag for everyone to put their stuff in, so one of the staff members at the cinema sort of went to them, oh, what did you think? And they just went, terrible, like that. Now, I don't think it's terrible.
Inject that shit into my veins.
But
I love the fact that no one else likes this.
It's not terrible, but it's not great.
Oh, no. This is by no way a good film.
You are so confusing.
I loved it.
You are so
We're going back to our conversation on Point Break.
Right.
I totally agree with you on Alex Winter. I do... Keanu Reeves
don't. Yeah.
Keanu Reeves looks like Cerberus Snape in this.
Severus Snape.
Yeah.
You said Cerberus.
Severus.
Yeah.
Looks like Professor Snape in this.
Yeah, it does. It's the hair.
Doesn't quite pull it off. Everyone else around them, I am totally with.
I love... Are we in spoilers yet?
No, let's...
I'm just desperately wanting to say things.
So, right, okay, so we've got a bit of a difference of opinion. I would say go see this and make your own mind up. Because, like, clearly, certainly if you have any want for Bill and Ted at all, I would say go and see this. Elaine clearly thinks differently.
I just think it's a bit of a waste of money if you're going to... And also, like, if you're thinking about safety and things like that, I would just wait until it comes on the telly. I don't think it needs to be seen in the cinema. But, okay. I can see on
I think
your
you're missing the
face-
point of reviews here.
Yeah, and also, like, talk myself out of this. I want to support the cinema, so of course we're going to go and we're going to see it. But I'm not going to run to my mates and go, oh yeah, go and see this. You'll have a great time. I didn't laugh. I laughed once at the beginning, and then I was counting my laughs. I enjoyed the nostalgia. I wish I felt emotional, but there were emotional beats in this. And, like, the cold, stony-hearted woman I am, didn't feel anything in it. Didn't cry. Didn't even, like, have a minor tear or any sort of wetness in the eye. I wanted it to be either really funny and daft or really emotional and, like, heart-wrenching, and it's neither of those things.
Right, I think we need to get rid of the stragglers on and get into spoiler territory.
Right, go.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening, if this is where you're leaving us. You're about to hear a massive argument if you're sticking on. So, go watch Bill and Ted Face the Music, or don't.
Or don't.
And then come back and listen to me and Elaine argue this out.
This is, like, I'm giving this 2.5 stars. And that's only for the goodwill.
I'm giving this 4.5.
Oh, you are kidding me.
No, absolutely. Like, I can do it by how much I enjoyed it. And I think that the nostalgia... So right, let's get into spoilers now. From here on, be monsters. Mm-hmm. I think it is so difficult to do a film like this so long after, and so many films get this wrong, whereby they put in too many references to the old things that it just feels like fan fiction. I think the Star Wars films did that for me. In my mind, when I'm watching certain films, and Star Wars was one of them, I go back to when somehow I came along like some fan fiction for Friends, and within 3 minutes they'd made 3 references to like 3 different episodes, and it's like people don't do that in good literature. I think this just touched back to the original films without nowhere near going too far for me.
it's just exactly the same as the other two films. It's a time traveling exploit. The two girls, the children, go and collect some characters from history, plus someone who, please tell me you had no idea who he is as well. Who the hell is this King Cudi?
Oh, I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I know I'm old and out of touch and everything, but and he's not very good, and he just like pops up, and then at the end it's featuring King Cudi. Am I meant to know who he is? Is this just for the young people in the audience? Like, they didn't need to do that in 1989. 1989, they weren't sticking like Michael Jackson in the historical figures, or I'm going to say Bill Clinton, but he didn't arrive by then. Don't say anything, and you want to make a joke.
No, I don't. I think for the kids, you've got King Cudi, and for people our age, you've got Dave Grohl.
Yeah, all right, yeah, he's there for 2 seconds. I didn't even get that excited about Dave Grohl. It was mainly, for me, an opportunity for Winter and Reeves to dress up as wacky characters. And I quite enjoyed that, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that carries an entire film. But I think it is a repetition of, and what I thought would have been really much better is if the girls and their dads had been together in this film. We haven't seen that before, where they're all travelling together. Instead, you've got these two really disparate stories where the girls are trying to save their dads, and the dads don't really seem to be making any sort of reference to the fact that their teenage children are at home while the world's collapsing. They're they're absolutely obsessed with their princesses and their marriages collapsing. I would have loved it for them to have been together, so you got that more of that interaction and that bouncing off them.
What do you think of Samara Weaving and I'm going to get the actress's name?
I really, really enjoyed it.
Bridget Lundy Payne.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I really enjoyed their performance. I didn't think it was too OTT.
Yeah, I think they got it just right.
Just right. Samara Weaving in particular was really playing it down, I felt.
Yeah.
I think she could have gone, as Alex Winters, Bill's daughter, she could have really gone for it. They were intelligent, they knew what they were doing, they were confident women. Brilliant. Bring it all on. But don't put them off in a little side story. Just, make them a main part of the...
That never occurred to me.
Okay.
I think putting it to me, if I'm running through that in my head, I think having a story of Bill and Ted with their daughters just reeks of bad sequel to me.
Okay.
It worked for me. I liked the fact that Bill and Ted went on their own thing, and they were doing sort of the quest that referenced Excellent Adventure, where they're getting the historical figures together, and then I saw the plot point coming an absolute mile off, because they're referencing Logan and Preston rather than Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
But it didn't spoil it for me. I just thought, okay, that's where we're going. Yeah, okay, fine.
The music wasn't very good though, was it? Like, if this is the song that's meant to save the world, I was a bit like,
I am an absolute sucker for bits of music where the desperate parts come together to make a song together.
A bit of a flute.
That was the bit that I welled up, and I can't explain it.
Is it because they went... And this really inexplicable bit at the end where they made infinite copies of themselves, and then they gave everyone a saxophone.
Made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Made no sense whatsoever.
But by that point, I was all in.
You were crying?
I was all in, so I don't care about that.
Well, maybe that's a bit... I was getting bored at that bit. I was thinking, when is this going to end? There were a couple of teenagers in front to the left of me that had already stood up with their phone on full, with a little torch on, how the torch comes on as well, that were just going in and out of the cinema, and they had completely given up as well. And I didn't blame them, to be quite honest with you.
So let's talk about, because when I met you, you said how it was full of kids.
Yes.
Mine was the same.
It's a playgroup.
I had a mother of maybe mid-20s bringing two girls who were probably under 5 each.
Yeah, I had the same, yeah.
God knows what they thought.
Well, this is it. This is, but you know what? I was sat there, and I think old pre-mum me, would have been raging at this. But I can completely understand how in this current climate you need to take your kids somewhere and have a break yourself. And if you're someone who likes Bill and Ted and has that history, totally get it. The kids that were younger, that were next to me, were perfectly well behaved all the way through the film.
So
it was
were
the
these.
older kids that were getting bored, and I can understand that. How on earth were they gonna take any of the jokes?
They can't contextualise anything.
No, I know. But if this is all that's on for them, you can understand. So I think this is going to be a regular thing. I think if you go and see Bill and Ted, you're going to have a lot of families and a lot of people with kids coming in. I was the only person in at age 40 sat by myself. I wore my mask throughout the whole thing because I was worried because there were kids around me. So I wore my mask throughout and sat in the back row, just feeling like a bit of a weirdo, to be quite honest with you. But
So one of the things that made me smile all the way throughout is the cast in this, the extended cast, because I think you're quite right that Alex Winter is absolutely nailing this.
He's loving it. He really, you can see there's so much emotion behind that performance, even though he's Bill is daft, isn't he? You know, but you can see he's putting everything into it.
Keanu Reeves was also in it, as I said last week. Yeah.
I think because we know Keanu now as something completely different, as this action hero.
Yeah.
It's really weird to see him back as as Ted.
But just going through the cast, I love Kristen Schaal.
See, fine.
Okay.
I wasn't particularly blown away. What is she from?
So she's from Flight of the Conchords.
Oh, okay.
But she's in a lot of things. She's in a lot of British things. Yeah.
Okay.
Anthony Carrigan as Dennis Caleb McCoy.
Yes, he was very good. He was very good.
Plays Boho Hank in
the robot. So where do I know him? Would I know him?
He plays Noho Hank in Barry.
What?
So you know Barry, which you haven't seen.
Oh, I thought Noho Hanking Barry was a person.
Noho Hank is an Estonian gangster in Barry.
Right, I've not.
So that's what he looks like.
Oh, is that what he looks a bit like Death? A bit like William
a little
Sadler.
bit. Yeah, a little bit.
William Sadler, lovely to see him back.
Yes.
Lovely to see Death. Actually, I really enjoyed the parts of the film that talk about what it's like to be in a band that does well, and then they have creative differences, or someone leaves. A lovely little intellectual property law joke for me, because he'd taken the name Wild Stallions and they'd had to sue him. Loved all of that.
See, absolute perfection. That
that doesn't make that bit, which I really enjoyed and thought I might use that in one of my classes. that doesn't make an entire film.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Erin Hayes and Jamie Mays as the princesses. I love seeing Jamie Mays again. Do you know her at all?
Sorry, I'm yawning. It's been a long day. She's from Glee.
Yes, and I spent all the show going, how do I know her? How do I know her?
Yeah.
She's from Glee. She's from Heroes. Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have much to do, Pet.
No, but it's
but the princesses never did.
No,
and to be honest with you, I'm not even going to get on my high hole, women's rights horse for this. To be honest with you, because they've never done in any of the other shows, and I'm not quite sure what they would do with them anyway. So I'll leave that be.
Amy Stock as Missy, just lovely to see her again after
I don't know the films well enough to know that she was actually Missy in the first one.
Oh,
the second one.
First and second. Yeah. Holland Taylor as the Great Leader.
Oh, the Great Leader, yes. Yeah.
Gillian Bell, who's a stand-up comedian who's done very well recently as the marriage guidance counsellor.
Yeah. I thought I knew her.
All this all the way through just makes me smile.
Ted's dad.
Ted's dad comes back. Yeah. See, I'm fully willing to admit that this is not a great film, and my fandom for Bill and Ted is completely biased in my review, but this I loved, and this is the perfect comeback sequel for me. This might be what Chris thinks of Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased for you, because when I walked out of the pictures and met you in the car park, which sounds really dodgy, I was really worried. I really wanted to sort of say to you, are you sure you want to go and see this? So I'm pleased I didn't. I'm pleased I kept a straight face. I'm pleased for you. Yeah.
And all the way
Fine.
through, I was thinking, I bet Elaine hated this.
Really?
Yeah,
Did you?
yeah,
Did you
yeah,
think that?
Yeah. Because it's totally not your thing.
No, no, Mark. It is my thing. It is my thing. I love nostalgia. I love any sort of intellectual property law joke. I just didn't think it was particularly... I just didn't find it interesting. I was counting down the time, and it was a 90-minute film, and it should have absolutely flown by. It should have been a rollicking ride, and it wasn't for me. I thought it was very pedestrian.
That's interesting, because I sort of looked at my watch and thought, I have no idea how they're going to wrap this up in the next 20 minutes.
And I was counting it.
Well...
Yeah. So there we go.
Isn't it interesting? And aren't I right?
You have to go and see the film first the next time, won't you?
No, I don't care. I'll go watch. I will go watch this again.
You would go and see
Oh
this again?
yeah.
Oh,
It's 90 minutes.
You
It's
couldn't
just...
pay me, Mark. You couldn't pay me.
I bet I could.
All right, fine. How much?
I'll give you 20 quid to go watch it.
Oh, it'd be more than 20 quid, definitely.
Oh, would you pay me £20 to go watch it?
If I could hour and a half to myself, yeah, that'd be brilliant. Do you want to take Blake with you?
No.
Come on,
Well-
people are taking their kids.
Yeah, cool.
He'll
Yeah.
be fine. He'll love it.
Here, go. Here's 20 quid. Go to the cinema. I'm watching Strike.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Oh, I'm tempted. Right, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
It's a long part. I'm just looking at the time. It's a long podcast. We haven't done
let's talk about.
Yeah, we haven't done a long one like this for a while. So yeah,
Well,
I'm gonna go and look up who Kid Cudi is.
I don't care.
No, neither do I. But I feel that I should know. Clearly, all the cool kids know who this guy is. Why does he disappear at the end? As well, like at the end, he just disappears.
Because he was warped out of a concert at the beginning of the film. So at the very beginning, when they're showing that the time is like falling apart, you have Jesus taken out of the Last Supper. Mm-hmm. You have Babe Ruth being taken out of the baseball game in his final thing, and you have him performing on stage, and then he is taken out of that and put into modern times.
Right. Oh, thanks for that. I didn't pick that up at all.
Oh God, it's like Tenet all over again.
It is. Yeah, you're gonna have to explain it all to me. Oh, and thankfully you'll be happy with this. When I drove back from the pictures, I did go the right way around the roundabout.
Well,
I was thinking
handy.
about that after Tenet and my attempt to go around the roundabout backwards.
'Cause it's a better film than Tenet.
I don't want to have another argument with you, Mark, but I completely disagree. Right, come on, I'm yawning still.
Okay.
Happy wedding day, Jen and Matt.
All right, we've done enough of that.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Before you go, just a reminder that you can subscribe to the Honeymoon Period podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can join in the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for The Honeymoon Pod. Finally, if you like this episode and you think someone else would too, please share it. See you next time.
Most triumphant.